An introduction to Qmed's industrial hygiene module. Qmed's hygiene module includes functions to define hazards or agents, risks, exposure groups, exposure limits, survey or sampling plans, capturing samples, shifts, teams and workplaces. Multiple hazards, such as physical or chemical agents, may be defined. Hazards are classified into groups, for example carcinogens or chemical agents. Each group may be included or excluded from the hygiene plan. Hazards may also be defined as a mixture. For example, the hazard welding fumes consists of a mixture of multiple other hazards. The results of the main hazard as well as the mixture hazards may be recorded. Multiple exposure limits, or OELs, may be defined per hazard. For example, a company OEL, and an international OEL, may be created. An exposure reduction factor may also be applied. Exposure limit ratings are defined as a percentage compared to the exposure limit. For example, an acceptable exposure is defined between 0 and 49% of the exposure limit. Multiple shifts, teams, and shift calendars may be created. These may be used when generating the plan and when capturing the sample results. Exposure groups, also called SEGs or HEGs, are created by defining either of the following options: organization unit, workplace, occupation, occupation group, or rep, employer, shift or shift calendar. Qmed will automatically link the relevant people to the exposure group based on the definition. People may also be added manually to an exposure group. Multiple survey or sampling plans may be created. A plan is defined over a selected period, the hazard classification, and the sampling days. A plan may be created for exposure groups as well as area or workplace sampling. The plan is automatically generated over the period. This is based on the minimum number of samples required per hazard and exposure group, as well as the minimum sampling frequency. The plan indicates the exposure group, hazard, shift, team and day that they should be sampled. The plan may be edited manually. Surveys are generated from the plan, in which the samples are captured. The results are compared to the plan, in order to determine progress. A sample result is immediately compared to the exposure limit. The information required in a sample is a configurable questionnaire. Automatic scoring of a question may be created. For example, the flow rate variance percentage must be between certain values for a pass or acceptable sample. Formulas may also be configured to automatically calculate the values. Qmed's dashboard displays the statistical values of the sampling. This is also generated as a report. The survey widgets on the dashboard display the number of open, accepted, rejected and imported samples per survey. The actual completed samples are also compared to the planned number of samples. The final calculated result, per exposure group and hazard, is applied to the people in the exposure group. These values are immediately taken into account in Qmed's risk-based occupational medicals. For more information on Qmed, contact us via our website. Goodbye.